What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Wednesday. We have a 10-game slate today. It was a fun slate yesterday. We got a lot of news, in the afternoon with the Pelicans resting all their starters. So I had to post the updates on Twitter like I do every slate close to lock. And yesterday's were solid. Some of these guys were chalky. They were like must plays. Alvarado, Alexander Walker, Harden Gomez. Embiid was super low owned, and he came through, outscoring Jokic. Way cheaper than him, so it's a good day. Also hit another single game parlay, so finally had a good day on both sides, hitting tournaments and double ups on both, and looking to keep it going today. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out Twitter, check out Prize Picks. Won 4 or 5 yesterday on the ones I posted on Twitter as well. And let's get into the video. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of news today with it being 10 games. We're waiting on some pieces. A lot of these teams are on back-to-backs, and we've seen with the All-Star break approaching in a couple of weeks, that teams are going to be looking to rest some players whenever they can, just to get ready for the second half of the year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a number of guys not playing today on a back-to-back. But looking at the point guard options, James Harden is currently in. Wouldn't be surprised if he happens to sit after playing 38 minutes last night. But there's not going to be Kyrie again today because you're playing at home. Harden's typically a guy that still plays heavy minutes whenever he's out there, and even if it's a back-to-back, if he's active and starting, would expect him to play his normal minutes. It is going up against Denver at home. Both teams on a back-to-back. You have Luka at 11-1. He's going to be behind James Harden just because Harden is going to have to do everything without Kyrie and Durant. But if for tournaments, you can look to Luka. But I'm looking at Harden. I'm looking at Trae Young a bit just because the matchup is so good against Sacramento. They play terrible defense. Young has shown his ceiling as of late, just putting up a lot of shots, hitting his threes, and gives you like 10 to 15 assist upside. DeJounte Murray is still a very good option today. His price tag has come down a little bit. He's only $9,800. He would have smashed yesterday if the Rockets were able to keep it a game. Only played 24 minutes, 4 fouls in those 24 minutes. That if he played his normal, gave him 13, 14 more minutes like he does in close games, he would have put up probably 65 at least, or at least definitely 60. Other plays, Van Fleet is questionable. If he's in, he looks fine at 87. If he's out, you can load up on like Siakam and Gary Trent and OG. Also, we'll see if Scottie Barnes is able to play today after both those guys missed yesterday's game. But you have some decent picks here. I'm not going to be looking at, like, RJ Barrett is a little bit too expensive now. Fox, see if he's in or not. If he's out, you can look to Halliburton at 75. The Kings got run through by the Boston Celtics last night. Then you have a couple of guys in the 6K range, like Cole Anthony is fine at 67, but he's been getting outplayed by Jalen Suggs as of late. He's only $5,800. On FanDuel, I would go with Cole Anthony over Suggs, but on DraftKings, I think you can look to Jalen Suggs over Cole Anthony. He's back to playing like heavy minutes. They have a couple of guys questionable. Mo Bamba's questionable. Could lead to more minutes for some of these other guys, but Suggs is finally starting to produce like the Magic thought they would when they drafted him at the top of the first round. And you can play him at 2 spots today. I think right now he looks like a fine option. I'm sure we'll get some better plays throughout the day, but in the mid-range, you basically have him. Also like Derek White a lot at at only $5,900 with how many minutes he typically will play in a close game. They didn't have to play their starters much, and with it being a back-to-back, Pop wasn't going to have any of these guys out there in the fourth quarter of yesterday's game. But typically, you're getting mid-30s in minutes for Derek White. Still gives you a lot of upside. So I'm going to plug him in at the shooting guard spot. 2 guys below 6K with 40-point ceilings. Brunson is going to get more playing time now that Tim Hardaway is out for a couple of weeks at least. He fractured, I think, one of his toes. Other plays would be Monty Morris at 46. If there's no Will Barton, just going to get a lot of minutes at the guard spot just so you don't have too many other options. He's had some couple of terrible shooting nights, 3 of 14 and 1 of 9 the last 2 games, but the last game he was still at least respectable yesterday. But if he's taking like 14 shots, you normally expect him to hit more than 3 of them. So if there's no Will Barton, I definitely think you can look to Morris as a fine option today. Then that's basically it for now. Maybe you can go to like Campazzo or Bones Highland depending on some of these injuries on Denver, but probably Rivers will start. I think Campazzo makes some sense for tournaments. At shooting guard, your pay-ups are Devin Booker at 97. He's been going off as of late, but he's up to 10K now, so I'm sure you'll find some probably better pay-ups today, but For tournaments, he looks pretty appealing. I like Levert more at 86, just with them not having Sabonis and not having Brogdon. Levert is going to have to do everything. He made his return after missing a couple. He played just 32 minutes, but took 20 plus shots. Had 14 peripheral stats. Didn't have any stocks, but the price tag is very good, and the matchup is great against Charlotte. They play super fast. Zach LaVine is back, so that just hurts DeRozan a little bit. I think DeRozan and LaVine, both guys are playable, just going up against Toronto, but they're definitely not necessities. Clarkson is a pass at his price tag. I'd rather go to McCollum. You might get a return of Desmond Bane today, which would hurt some of the other wings on Memphis. Coffee at 55. Marcus Morris has been dealing with a personal issue for the last couple of weeks. We've seen him miss multiple games this year. He missed yesterday's game. If he's ruled out again today against Orlando, then definitely can look to Coffee after the Clippers made one of the best comebacks in NBA history last night. Gary Trent, if there's no Van Fleet and Scottie Barnes, looks appealing at his price tag. And you can maybe go down in the 3K range. Some of these guys for tournaments, but nobody sticks out too much unless we get some more news. Small forward, you have Butler, Middleton. Hero is back, so that hurts Butler a little bit. I mean, New York against Miami, you have two good defensive teams. They don't play super fast. It's not a game that I'm looking to go crazy with. I like OG Anunoby if there's no Scottie Barnes again and or no Van Fleet. Buddy Hield, he might be starting today if Davis is not able to play and if Fox is still out. So keep an eye on him. Other picks in the mid-range would be like Franz Wagner at 52, gives you some upside with his price tag. In the 4K range, you have a couple of good plays. I don't know why the Knicks traded for Cam Reddish if they're not even playing him. I know Grimes has been playing well, but you might as well look what Cam Reddish has before you play some of these bench guys that they've been rolling out there. But Cameron Johnson at 43 is just another great value pick. The Suns are shorthanded again today with no Crowder. They've also ruled out their bigs minus Biyombo and Jalen Smith. So you're going to get mid-30s in minutes for Cam Johnson again. He does play well when he starts, takes some threes, gets you some rebounds. You might run into a steal and a block and stuff like that when he's out there for over 35 minutes. Power forward, Giannis going up against Cleveland. It's not the best matchup. Cleveland's been very good defensively, and they have a lot of bigs, assuming Jared Allen's able to play. But he's not my favorite today, but you can always pay up for him if you wanted to, if you got more value. Siakam looks great, again, if there's no Van Fleet or Scottie Barnes. Not too interested in Julius Randle at his price. I like Porzingis at 76. Struggled yesterday, but he came through for the first basket, so not too mad at him. But definitely could bounce back against Portland. They have been playing not very sound defense as of late. But mid 6K price tag, you have Jaren Jackson at 66. Just a price tag that you can always make an argument for. Typically should be in like the 7K range, I'd say. That's a price tag where you can feel good about not having him. But 66 going up against San Antonio, a team that he put up 41 against, had 5 stocks, only shot 5 of 17. Shooting sometimes is erratic, but gets you some rebounds. Definitely can just load up on the blocks with him. Like, he can get you 4 to 6 blocks. He's done that. He's averaging like almost 2.5, and he's averaging a steal per game. So that's like 6 fantasy points right there. Can get you some threes, get you some rebounds. A little bit too cheap in my opinion, going up against the going up against the Spurs on the road. Other picks would be Kevin Love if Jared Allen is still out at his price tag. You can maybe take a shot on like Little at 49, but definitely will try to get up to Jaren Jackson instead. And you have like Okiki at 43 if there's no Mo Bamba and he starts. Looks fine. Center, you have Jokic at 12-4 if you wanted to play him on a back-to-back. Definitely you can destroy his Brooklyn front court. They have nobody to slow him down. So Jokic should have another monster game today. You have some of these guys that they should all play minus Sabonis. I don't think Sabonis will play, but Giannis will play probably, and Vooch will probably play. But you definitely look to like Siakam at 89, depending on some of the news we get out of Toronto. You have some guys in the mid-range here with Whiteside at 66 without Gobert again. He looks appealing, but I'm going to go with Biyombo at 55 just because he's very affordable. We've seen him put up some big games. Chris Paul always knows how to get his bigs involved, especially a guy like Biyombo who plays Good defense, get you some blocks, get you some rebounds, and he's going to be getting a lot of easy shots at the basket from Chris Paul, throwing him some lobs. It's not a great free throw shooter, so hopefully he can knock some of those down, but you're going to get 30-plus minutes out of Biyombo without McGee, and they're still without DeAndre Ayton today. So those are 5 guys I feel pretty solid about. The last guy plug in here will be Keras Levert at 86. So you can play him at 2 spots, but I just think that without Sabonis and Brogdon, he's going to be heavily involved in all the offense today. The Hornets give up like 115 points per game. They're at home. Indy plays at a pretty fast clip. Levert can definitely put up 40s and 50s today, and maybe even get you a double-double. So that's it for the DraftKings side. I'm sure we'll get some changes throughout the day once we get the news out of like Toronto and some of these other spots. A lot of these teams on back-to-backs. But let's go over to FanDuel now. All right, on FanDuel, point guard plays. You have DeJounte Murray at a good price tag at 10-3. You can go down a little bit to like Trae Young at 95. I think he looks great. If Desmond Bane returns, that might hurt John Moran a little bit, but he's still viable. But I probably like Trae Young a little bit more, and I like Murray slightly more. 8K range, VanVleet looks great if he happens to play. 7K range, you have LaMelo at a good price tag at 76. In the 6K range, I don't really like. I mean, you can definitely still look to like Suggs, but you have Cole Anthony at only 53, so he'd be a guy that I play over Suggs on FanDuel. You have Clarkson and Mike Conley here. Without Donovan Mitchell, one of these two will probably have a decent game. I like Conley just because he starts, but he typically is not a guy that gives you high ceiling just because he's not playing like 37, 38 minutes a night. He's typically going to be in like the low 30s most nights. But for right now, go ahead and put in Cole Anthony just because 53 is just very, very cheap going up against the Clippers. At shooting guard, James Harden at 10-2 is going to be a plug-and-play if he starts in this back-to-back without Kyrie and Durant. Other picks would be Devin Booker at 92 going up against this Utah team once again. We have CJ McCollum at 79. Definitely like Keras Levert again on both sites at only 78 on FanDuel. You can make a case for Zach LaVine. For the value picks here, you have Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. Will Barton if he does play. You have some other guys in the 4K range. If Buddy Hield starts today at 52, he would be a guy you can look to. Trent at 5,000. And then in the 4K range, you have a couple of guys depending on the injuries. Well, depending on, not really an injury for Morris, but if he's out again, definitely look at Coffee at only 44. He'd be a very, very good value pick. And Terrence Mann as well at 42. A small forward, go ahead and plug in Keras Levert at 78. Just a really nice price tag on FanDuel, especially you can play him at shooting guard or small forward, so it's easy to fit him into your lineup. OG would look like a good play, depending on some of the news. He's also a good play anyways on FanDuel, just with all the stocks that he gives you. You also have $5,000 for Cam Johnson. He looks better on DraftKings, but definitely playable. Still on FanDuel, you have Trent as well, depending on the news out of Toronto. And Coffee at 44 is a great value pick. Terrence Mann at 42. Power forward, definitely look to Siakam if there's no VanVleet again at 89. In the mid-range at this position, you have OG at 68. You have Bobby Portis at 63, going up against a big Cleveland team. Scottie Barnes, Bridges, both guys look viable if they, assuming that Scottie Barnes plays. And then in the value range, the 4K range, nothing too much in the 5K range. 4K range, maybe you can look to Clarkson if he starts again, if he's playing on this back-to-back set. But don't have too much, assuming that none of these guys will be starting. So for right now, if I'm looking at some of these Toronto guys, like Anunoby, put him in at 68 for now. You can make some adjustments. Later, I'll put him in at power forward. You also have Achua, if he starts, he's only 37. Didn't do well yesterday, but the price tag has come even cheaper than it was yesterday for him. I'll go ahead and put him in as 68 for now. And Mobley would look better if there's no Jared Allen today. And then at center, Jokic looks great. He's the only guy that you can really pay up for on FanDuel at center. Mid-range, you're looking at Nurkic at 83. Jakob Poeltl's a little bit too expensive. Jaren Jackson, I like him more on DraftKings with his price tag. You have a couple of guys that are great values. Biyombo at 63. And then you have You have Hassan Whiteside at 55. Even like Batadze looks viable at 55 as well. So I think everybody will probably look to get Hassan Whiteside, which I do like Whiteside. But if nobody's going to really be looking at Biyombo, I could see playing him instead for only 800 more. So that's about it. And maybe I get to Whiteside depending on how the day goes and depending on if I need the extra 800. But I wouldn't mind going to Biyombo at less ownership. And that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching. You can check for updates on Twitter. I'll post them closer to lock. After DFS processing, check out the website if you want to join us. Best of luck tonight, and I will see you all next time.